I'm not special, you're not special. But that's okay. That's the message that I took away after reading 3 Days of Happiness, otherwise known as I Sold My Life for 10,000 yen a year. Reading this manga hit me especially hard, being someone that feels pretty stuck in their 20s, with sometimes what feels like the weight of the world on your shoulders. Some of you guys my age, or maybe even younger than me, might know what I mean. The weight of wanting to make your family and friends proud of you, or maybe accomplish something great in your life. I felt and still kind of feel these things, but this manga helps calm me in an almost pessimistic way. Now, if you do go on to enjoy this video, maybe subscribe. And with that out of the way, I'm going to give a quick summary of the plot. Kusunoki is basically your average broke 20-year-old. He heads into a store to sell off some belongings to try and raise a little bit of money, but instead he's offered the chance to sell his lifespan. And obviously what they mean by this is you sell off the remaining years you have left in your life in order for a bit of cash and maybe some happiness now. So Kusunoki, being the absolute madman he is, sells all of it off except 3 months, giving him, essentially 3 months to live, and we get to see what he gets up to in these last months of his life. Now, the catch is that Kusunoki doesn't go through these last 3 months alone. What he doesn't realize is a girl called Miyagi has basically been given the job of observing him during his last few months. And the reason for this is because after people sell their lifespan off, people tend to go and do batshit crazy things, kind of as a moment of regret, or maybe just not giving a fuck. And so the observers are here to basically prevent that from happening. Now, the question people really kind of pose when it comes to 3 Days of Happiness is this a story, or is this a statement, or maybe something else completely? Now, to be honest, I don't want to talk about that at all because I think it's a pretty boring question. And the thing that I actually feel is great about this manga is there are so many ways to interpret the story and a ton of different themes covered. So basically, I want to talk about my experience with it. This is really an exploration of the manga and what I took away from it, but I'd also love to see all the different kind of things you guys took away from it, so please tell me in the comments. And if you haven't read it, well, it's literally 18 chapters, so just go read it and then come back here to watch the rest of the video because there will be some spoilers ahead. And sorry if this video feels slightly unnatural, it's a bit more scripted than usual because I kind of find it a bit too hard to talk about off the dome. But I'm gonna get into the first thing I want to talk about: optimistic nihilism. Now, nihilism basically just means that nothing matters, which at a glance sounds quite depressing, right? But with optimistic nihilism, you don't look at things like, damn, nothing matters, but more like, damn, nothing matters. All the stupid shit you do, all the embarrassing stuff you do, the good stuff, the bad stuff, none of it matters. You're just a speck in the eye of the universe, essentially, so just don't worry about this kind of stuff. Don't even worry about doing something stupid, because in the end, it doesn't really matter. In the case of Kusunoki, this guy wants to take photos of vending machines. Yep, something that sounds, well, pretty fucking boring to put it bluntly, but that's what he wants to do. And this matters no less or no more than if you wanted to become the next Elon Musk. Kusunoki just does what he wants to do. He's just doing whatever he thinks will bring him happiness, and if that's taking some pictures of vending machines, then that's what it is. And this also links into the next message that hit home pretty hard for me, and that is carpe diem, or otherwise known as seizing the day. Do what you want to do, and do it now. If you live your life constantly looking into the what ifs of the future, then they will eventually turn to regrets, and you'll probably end up becoming a loser like me who's stuck looking into regrets of the past, or getting crippling anxiety about the future. Yeah, highly wouldn't recommend it. Just live for today. In the manga, Himeno is Kusunoki's childhood crush, and of course, manga being manga, he never told her how he actually felt. He never even chose to pursue her because he assumed that she had a tainted image of him, or maybe was too occupied with something else. And because he lacked this honesty with himself and with her, he didn't tell her, not once. And not living in the present and just telling her how he felt ended up fucking things up big time, and she basically despised him, right? All because of these anxieties of the future and the past. Of course, it all ends well though, because of the whole sort of like blossoming relationship between Kusunoki and Miyagi. And with these two, this manga takes the quote, "life's too short," to literally a whole nother level. But I really have an unfeigned love for their dynamic, because it took into account the two things I said, right? Optimistic nihilism and seizing the day. Yeah, he'll die in 3 months, but instead of living in depression and fear of death, they embrace it and just decide instead to enjoy the remainder of the time they have together as best as they possibly can. And this really got me super emotional about the whole story and just resonated with me really hard. And I think what a lot of these things boil down to at the end of the day is validation. It's something that everyone seeks. I seek validation from you guys as viewers because I want to know my videos are doing well and entertaining you. And in a way, some of you probably seek validation from me because maybe you like the manga but you want to hear other people talk about liking the manga. Or maybe it's in your day-to-day lives. It's something we're all guilty of, especially the characters from our story. Kusunoki gave up his dreams and career in art because of the opinions of people around him. People telling him that they don't know what they'd be doing if he was still stuck doing art. And of course this meant he ended up giving it up. And instead of following his dreams, he just went into part-time work. And in these last 3 months when he has essentially nothing to live for, and he does what he wants, as I said, he went and took photos of vending machines, which might seem completely stupid to other people, but he didn't feel their need for validation, he just did what he wanted to do. And the same goes for his treatment of Miyagi. To everyone else, this is just an invisible girl that no one can see, and speaking to her and holding her in public might make Kusunoki look like a complete crackhead, but he doesn't care. He doesn't need the validation of people around him, especially when he has a source of happiness right in front of him. And I think that's a really beautiful message that I took away from it. And as a last word, I just want to mention a couple more things and briefly talk about the art. Now, after all of these different messages, I haven't even touched on the concept of what my life might be worth, who values it, how do I value it, which are just even more questions you could ask about this manga. And I think some aspects of this story are maybe unrealistic or maybe even cheesy to some people. I think it really depends what kind of person you are, but for me it's something that hit hard. For you, you might just laugh at it. I think it really will differ from person to person. And as for the art, when I talk about this stuff, I never feel like I can put into words what I want to say, or even feel qualified enough to talk about the artwork in these kinds of stories. And I think for the most part, the character designs and the characters are pretty simplistic, but I have absolutely no problem with that. However, the environments give me a very big sense of atmosphere, especially panels of the lake, and also in particular the sections of Miyagi and Kusunoki making paper cranes in his apartment. I think these are just a couple of the really good pieces of art in the manga. Now I hope this video didn't feel too personal for you guys. If you did enjoy, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on any more videos. Maybe leave a like or a dislike, and please tell me what you guys thought of this manga. I really want to hear about it. Drink some water and take it easy. Peace.